Hi, I'm Cosmo Barbaro with Cosmo Barbaro Furniture, and today I want to talk to you about how to mill lumber on a joiner. I have a 16-inch American joiner, and I love it. It's very versatile, and I'm going to show you how to get a reference face and a reference edge, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to read grain direction and what the lumber looks like in the rough. Now, I'm dealing with what's called 4/4 lumber. That's 1 1/8 inches thick. So I have an example of some maple and sapele right here. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Do the sapele first. This is what it looks like in the rough. Okay. Again, reference face, reference edge. That's what we're going to be doing, and this is going to be 90 degrees. That's very important. And then we're going to plane the opposite face, and then this opposite edge would be table sawn, but we're going to do that at a later date. So I'm going to show you how to mill this in just a second, and what I want to show you is how to place it down and which way you should place it, and some pieces can be cupped or twisted. You always put the cup side down, but I'll show you that in a second. Before I do that, I want to show you some maple, and this is very cupped, this material. This sapele is nice and flat. This is 4/4 maple, and I don't know if you can see this. Let's see if I can do it this way. There's a pretty good example right there. It's cupped. You'll see on the joiner in a second. I'll put it on the joiner and show you. But in another video, I'm gonna get a reference face and a reference edge, and then I'm gonna resaw this down and split this in half, and then bring it back to the joiner and resurface it, and then replane it and sticker it after that. And these were a sister piece of this, and these were resawn the other day, and that's what I'm gonna do in another video. And this is what maple looks like after it's surfaced, and this is what the pieces came out, very nice and flat. And I'll show you how to store this after you get to this point. So let's go ahead and start milling, and you'll see what this looks like. I'm going to bring you down eye level on the joiner, and so you can see the machine cutting. It's very loud. I won't talk. I'll just go through the process, and I'll talk at the end. Just bear with me for a second. It's very important. Minimum length rule on this is 12 inches, and also eye protection, hearing protection, super important. If you run material under that length, you run the risk of having an accident. So I recommend 12 inches or under. Now, this piece of sapele is just under that, and I'm gonna be okay. And then when I run this, you'll see that I use some push sticks. So let me get set up here, and I'll show you this in a second. I'll bring you right down here. Just open up this guard for a second. I'm going to close it. I'm not going to run with it open. But when you run lumber, you want to put the cup side down. Now, what is the cup side? If you can see this, that's not the cup side. You don't want to run it this way. You want this the opposite way, so that the cup side is facing down. This piece is actually twisted. We'll talk about this piece at a later date when I go to resaw this. So I'll shift back to this sapele. So I'm going to put my hearing protection in. I'm going to run this, and then I'm going to do a surface edge off of this face. Now, before I do that, this must be 90 degrees. How do you check that? With a stare. Okay, you're going to make sure that this is 90 degrees, and you're going to check it on both sides of the cutter head. Okay, if that makes sense. Everybody's joiner is different. You just make sure your joiner fence is 90 degrees. So here we go. I'm going to get a reference face and a reference edge, and then we'll go to the planer. Put my hearing protection in, and it's going to be loud. did have to pause for 1 second just to show you what the grain is going to look like on this next step. So I've got the surface is already, this is a reference surface. So I'm going to put a reference mark on this, and that is going to look like this. That tells me that this goes down, that this surface goes down on the next machine. Also, now that this is a reference surface, I'm going to reference this off of the joiner to get a reference edge, okay? To do that, what I'm going to do is pick the edge that I want to run, this edge or this edge, and I have to read the grain direction. So in this case, the grain's actually running downhill like this. And it's kind of confusing, but you always want to make sure the grain's backing itself. Otherwise, it's going to tear out. And I think the simplest way to show you is to just run it. I'm going to run this the opposite way so you can see what it sounds like and what it looks like. And you'll hear it first. So I know which way to run this now, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now I'm going to get a reference edge right now. Show you right here. Now, you heard how fast I ran that. You could kind of hear the difference in the tone. I ran it too fast on purpose. And right here, I got some tear out. That's called tear out. That's not what I want. Here is the opposite edge, and it's done in the proper grain direction. I have 0 tear out. Okay, so now I'm going to take it to the planer and plane this opposite face, and we'll be good to go. I'm going to take you over here to the planer real quick. And now I do not recommend this planer. It's terrible. Do not buy it. When I set this up, because my planer is so wimpy, I'm going to take very light cuts until I get it planed down all the way. As you can see right here, I'm at a 32nd, and I'm not going to go any heavier than that because my planer is so wimpy. Again, it's going to be loud. So let's go ahead and run this. Now I've got my surface face down. That goes down on this surface. Now we're gonna plane this next. There you go. Okay, now we're fully surfaced. Very nice. Just a little bit left here, but this is just a sample, not really an example. So once you get your material to this, what you're going to want to do is sticker it on here when you go to store your lumber, and that's going to look like this. What you're going to do is take your material. You're not going to store it on your joiner, but I'm just showing you. You put 2 pieces down so that you get air underneath it. And then if you have other pieces, you would sticker it up like that. So for instance, on this piece of maple that I did, two pieces down, 2 pieces in the same spot, and that's how you put your material to sleep.